Welcome to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support while you go through the divorce process. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst Professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Hello and welcome to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, Financial Advisor and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst Professional. And we are in the midst of Mike's relationship series, just coming out of a long-term relationship with my girlfriend. Didn't quite end where we wanted it to, but in the end, we were good and friends about it and stuff. And so sometimes you get lucky like that. And today, you're going through the divorce process, and I'm talking about, kids, family, friends type of stuff on today's episode, because they're all going through the transition in some form or fashion with you. Kids are easy. The kids are smack dab in the middle of this thing if they're, say, younger or school-age kids. Older kids, on the other hand, if they're on their own and stuff, totally different setup. I mean, they don't have to worry about changing homes. They don't have to worry about one parent leaving and being out of the house kind of thing because they've already left the house. So you're going to have a completely different conversation with your older kids on their own as you would with younger kids who, say, are in school, because that's going to have a direct impact on them. They're probably wondering, where will I go to school? How will I see both of my parents? Things like that. And so as you go through this divorce process, and you might already be done with it, but it's the parenting plan. You got to work with your ex to come up with a plan for each of the, for the kids, as far as when you'll see them and who's paying for what and how, you're going to be as a family unit going forward. And so it's completely free for you guys to set up however you like. Don't necessarily have to be the way your neighbor did it or a friend did it. You guys get to decide how it's going to work. All right. Now, when it comes down to, say, older kids and explaining the situation, they've likely maybe had relationships on their own. So you don't really have to go into great depth or detail. They get the picture. They kind of understand. They may not like it. They may be like, wow, that's a shock. But in the end, they're likely to tell you they just want you to be happy. Life's too short to just, waste years and time of, being unhappy. So, and you know what? Great segue into friends, because friends are going to be like that too. They're going to be like, hey, it's important to, be who you are, be happy, figure out your next phase of life and move forward. And friends are great for helping with that, even during the divorce process. You're going to lean on them. Whether it's for venting or them helping you or watching your kids or whatever things friends do at this stage is going to be very beneficial. So at the very least, maybe you go out for a nice meal or something just to break up the monotony of being at home. And then lastly, I got down as family. So depending on your family relationship with your siblings or your parents, you might have to reconnect. Or you have a good relationship and nothing really changes other than they're all about, just getting you through this as best as possible. So, a lot of times family is a great support system already. And, you may find yourself actually seeing them a little more through this process. So, and they may make comments about it like, wow, geez, haven't seen you this much since you lived here, kind of thing. But all in all, there again, they want you to be happy. They're there to support you 100%. And I'm always a big fan of utilizing the resources you have, whether it's friends, family, what have you. Maybe you need to seek, professional help with a therapist. And I'm going to talk a little more about that in a future episode. But in the end, you're going through the process. You're going to get through the process. And you're going to come out the other side a better person a lot of times. That's going to do it for this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. If you have questions, leave them. Happy to do what I can to help you and assist you kind of thing. And with that, I hope your day is going well.